Here's my prediction for these, is that people are going to sit on them and they're going to regret it. I think these are cooler than you think they are. I think people out there are going to be looking at these and just be like, that's a standard Air Jordan 3. There's nothing particularly special about it. Yes, red, nice colorway. We like it when we have our red or bread or sneakers. It's just a, you know, it's just a standard 3 is what people are going to say. But then they're going to look at it. People are going to get them in hand. People are going to get them on feet. And the people who have got them are going to be like pumped about it. And the people who don't have them are going to super regret it. That's my prediction for these guys. I think these guys are fire and nobody knows it. It's an absolutely cracking sneaker, and I'm looking forward to talking to you today about the upcoming release of the Nike Air Jordan 3 Red Cement. This is the Tokyo About a 23 Sneaker channel. Tokyo About a 23 Sneaker channel des毎日アップするので毎日見てください. And every single day from Tokyo, Japan, I bring you content about upcoming sneaker releases, sneaker news and sneaker reviews. And today it's the upcoming release of that Nike Air Jordan 3 Red Cement, which I'm betting on. I'm putting my money on this guy being an absolutely cracking sneaker. People are going to regret not getting these guys in hand. They are a special edition. That means there's going to be a limited number of drops. I have tried to find out how many, and I just can't find out how many pairs are going to be dropping, but my prediction is that people are going to sit on them and they're going to regret sitting on them. So listen to me, watch this video, find all those details in this sneaker, go with me as I walk through the 5 different parts of the sneaker that are absolutely fire, and at the end of it, put it in your diaries, February the 15th, that these guys, when they drop, do everything you can to get your hands on them, because they are gonna be hot. I'm absolutely banking on it. I'm putting my money on it. And then maybe people out there already know that, and maybe everybody's gonna be clambering to get these things, but I just don't see it. I think people are gonna look at a 3 and be like, they're gonna look at a red colorway and be like, yeah, okay, whatever. But then when they see the materials especially, that's when they're gonna be like, oh man, I wish I'd pulled the trigger on those guys, because they are fire. And they are. And like I said, I'm going to look at 5 different parts of the sneaker and walk you through why exactly this sneaker is hot and you should be putting it in your calendar to grab a hold of them. And the first thing we're going to do is we're going to talk about that colorway, like in total. I'll go through those little step-by-step pieces of the sneaker in a couple of minutes, and I'll also, at the end of the video, talk about a rare sneaker collection and how we have rare sneakers in hand every Sunday on this channel, so stick around for that too. But first things first is looking at that colorway and looking at the totality of the sneaker. It's a red sneaker with, well, it's mainly red with black, white and grey accents on it. And what that says to me is it says infrared, like this, ding. That's the LeBron 17 infrared, so it's dropped recently. Now, most people, they see infrared and they go crazy for it and they say, yes, infrared, and they don't even really think about whether or not it's actually a cool sneaker. And when I reviewed that sneaker there, that LeBron 17 infrared, I was actually a bit sort of like meh on it. It wasn't really my thing. And there were a couple of things in it that I just think, ooh, they didn't quite jive with me. And I wasn't really on it. You know, infrared 6s, everybody, yes, let's get my hands on those guys. But the infrared 17s for the LeBron line didn't really work with me. And these guys right here, ding, the infrared Dunk Low Pros, which dropped recently as well. Really cracking looking sneaker. These guys I did like very, very much. I thought they were really, really sweet. There was a bit of questions over whether that mesh toe was something to run with, but I was like, yeah, you know what, I think these Dunk Pro Lows infrareds are hot, and here we are with this red cement, and for all intents and purposes, you could have called it infrared if you look at those 2 colorways that just came before, red, black and white. It's infrared sort of thing, but they're going with red cement, and the main reason for that is because of that classic 3 detailing in the elephant print, which we'll get to later. But first things first, we need to look at those 5 different materials. That's what I want to walk through with you today and show you why people are going to sit on this, because they'll look at it from afar and just be like, whatever. But when you look at it close up and get them in hand, people are just going to be like, man, this is one of the sweetest sneakers of the season. The first place to do that is to zoom in and look at the upper, which is broken into 2 red segments. The first red segment I'm in love with, the tumbled leather. And we're not just talking tumbled leather, we're talking like super tumbled leather, mega tumbled leather, ultra tumbled leather, hype tumbled leather, whatever you want to call this. This isn't, you know, like a neutral gray. This isn't, you know, like a gentle little bit of hint to tumbled leather. You can see it behind me here, man. This is a mountain range of tumbled tumbled leather. The actual detailing on that, the effect, the texture of it is absolutely popping, and I love it. Absolutely love it. And the thing I love about it is that it wraps around the whole sort of starting in the midfoot, across the quarter line, over the toe, and then back again. And it's almost one complete section. It's actually 3 sections, but it's so clean that it looks like one complete section, because what you've actually got is the 2 top lace stays and then the wrap around the front of the sneaker. So 1, 2, 3, but it's so clean, and the tumbled leather is so tumbled that it looks like one complete piece of leather, and it's fire, and I love it. And I love the next thing about it is actually below that, if you go down and onto the red leather below it, which is smooth, and I love it again. I think it's a great contrast between that excessively tumbled leather of the upper and then the lower half of the upper that's in that smooth red leather. And the contrast between the two is really powerful to me. And the way to think about that is, imagine, I know you're looking behind me right now at exactly what I'm talking about, but imagine if both of them were tumbled leather. Too much. It would have been too much if they were both tumbled leather. Equally, if both of them were just that smooth leather of the lower half, again, it would have been too sort of dull, too plain. But having the two side by side is absolutely fire, and I think it's going to be a really big draw on these sneakers. But the thing is that from afar, people won't see that. People will look from afar and just see a red sneaker, and they have to actually zoom in, get close up and personal with these guys and see that tumbled leather and see the contrast between the upper half and the lower half of the upper. So that's point number 1 that we're starting off with, is that red tumbled leather in contrast to the smooth leather that's down below it. Point number 2 that we want to go to is the grey detailing in 3 places. Place number 1 is the top line. Place number 2 is the lace stays, and place number 3 is the tongue, in that order. And it's important that we do it in that order, because place 1 and 2, the top line and the lace stays, are perforated light grey, and it's fire. It complements the tumbled leather from the red upper, and then you've got these dimpled perforated effects around the lace stays and across the top line there, and it just looks really clean and really nice. But then when you go into the tongue, it's exactly the same color but not perforated. Good decision yet again by the Jordan line. Again, imagine if all 3 had been perforated. Overkill. It would have been way too much. Imagine if all 3 had been that solid light grey color. Would have been too dull and would have been too plain. Having 2 of them in the perforated colorway and having 2 of them in that sort of smooth, solid tongue with that red Jumpman on there. Great choice as far as I'm concerned, and a great point number 2 for me to talk about with you guys in relation to the sneaker. Now, point number 3 is the most obvious point on the whole sneaker, and it's the elephant print that I mentioned earlier. Jordan 3's elephant prints. You know, it's hand in a glove. They go together like salt and pepper. You know, there's just, it's the elephant print, and it's great to see it on here. These guys remind me very much of 2 sneakers that have come before. One was the DJ Khaled, I think it is, and forgive me if I pronounce that wrong. Never heard the guy's music. Apologize for not being up to speed. Apologize for being old. But DJ Khaled, he did a tie-up with the Jordan 3 guys, and it was red, but it was very red. You know what I mean? It was very red, whereas the balance between the colors on these red cements, I think, is a lot more in tune than DG Khaled's one, which was overly red. But the other one, which again, hopefully I'm putting this up behind me here, was the Dornbecker 3s, which had a lot more detailing on that red upper. But in terms of colorway, in terms of blocking, very, very similar sneakers. But it's that elephant print that we talk about when we talk about 3s a lot. It was a big thing when the OG dropped back in the day, and it's a big thing going forward now when you see that elephant print on Jordan 3s. And here we have it here in 2 particular places, wrapping around the heel section of the sneaker and wrapping around the toe box. And again, it's just right. It's in balance with the rest of the sneaker. The size of the panels aren't too big or too small. The coloring on there, like if we think about, I remember that it was the mochas that people were not too hot on. But it's just right in terms of this sneaker with that bread sort of design that we've got going on here. Black and the red, and then the bits of whites in there as well. It really works perfectly for this sneaker. And so far, so that's 3 parts of the upper that we've talked about, top to bottom. If we think about the tongue, top line, lace stays, and then into that red tumbled leather or smooth leather upper, and then on to those elephant prints for number 3. Number 4, Again, it's decision time at the Jordan line. It's decision time. Are we going to make the right decision? Yes, you are. You are going to make the right decision by sticking a black rubber panel on the back and a massive splash of white Nike Air. Nice. Yes, absolutely not a Jumpman, not a small branding, not a red rubber panel on the back. You know, anything that you analyze about that heel on that sneaker is the right decision. Whatever decision they could have made, the color of the material itself, the branding itself, any of those things they had a decision to make. Jordan, Nike Air versus the Jumpman, any of those things. Great choices, looks fire. And then as a total upper part of the sneaker, it's an absolutely cracking balance between all the different materials and all the different parts on there. And then the final place to look is into that midsole and then flipping them upside down into the outsole. And it's just, I don't know, if you've watched my channel for a while, if you know me, you know that I like to talk about like sneakers and how the contrast of the different parts of the sneakers come together and the balance of the colors and stuff like that. And you know that I research the videos before I make them. I don't just sort of sit here stream of consciousness and hope that something comes out of my mouth. I'm actually like planning what I'm going to say and I'm going to talk about them. And I wrote in my notes for this sneaker, I literally typed these words. They're perfect. They really are. And I'm not kidding. They're just perfect. I love them. I absolutely love them. And I'm not like a crazy Jordan 3 head. You know, if I have my preference in Jordans, it's Jordan 4s and then Jordan 12. So it's not like, oh, I'll just fall over 3s whenever they come out, you know. And I'm not known for like just going with the hype, if you know what I'm saying. Like if you think about those LeBron 17s earlier that I was talking about, where I didn't just go with the hype, I gave my opinion, you know what I mean? And what that means is that you, when you're watching my videos and I give you my opinion, you can trust it. I'm not just running with the herd. I'm not just like, you know, oh, let's, you know, butter up Nike because everybody loves them. I'm not just saying, oh yeah, whatever, it's a great shoe, blah, blah, blah. I actually thought about it and I actually believe it. I think these guys are perfect. They really are. Total sneaker, everything about it. From afar, great looking sneaker, zoomed right in and you get into those materials, absolutely fire. This for me is a cracking sneaker, and I think people who get them are going to be sitting on one of the uncut hidden diamonds of the season, and you've got to get your hands on these guys. They are absolutely fire. They're projected to drop February the 15th. I think it's part of the All-Star Weekend stuff that's going on, and there's a lot going on that's got people's attentions. If you think about the New Beginnings pack, people are focused on that, and I'll be talking about that later in the week. And so these guys are going to slip by, and you might just be able to get your hands on a diamond that you might not usually be able to get, you know, your hands on, because if these dropped at any other time and if people took a closer look at them, I think you wouldn't stand a chance of getting your hands on them. But just because of the circumstances of this drop, you have a chance, and I think you should grab it with both hands. Absolutely fire. Love this sneaker. Now, earlier in the video I talked about rare sneakers in hand. Here's, I think I'll put the, you know, I'll put the full, what's it called now? Well, you can see it now, but it's the full video, which is the video of the shoe apartment, where you can see one of the most expensive and rarest sneaker collections in the world. And from that shoe apartment, once a week on a Sunday, the owner of that collection, Shoe Butter, comes to the channel and actually gives us a close-up look at one of the rarest sneakers in the world. And we've had things like the Graffiti 8s, and if you don't know what Graffiti 8s means, go ahead and Google that and just pick your jaw up off the floor, and Stewie 6s, and then he's what's coming as well is great. So, but what we do is Tuesday through Saturday I give you a hint about what's coming up, and you guys try and work out what it's going to be, and then hit me up with a comment down below. And then on Sunday the actual shoe itself comes to the channel. Like I said, we're talking about the rarest shoes in the world, like absolute grails. Was it last week? No, was it last week was the I put a link to it, yay, ding, the Air Jordan 13 Fred Jones collaboration, player exclusive. And then the week before that, it was an Oregon Ducks shoe, which I won't be putting a link to here, because hint number one this week is quack, quack again. So if you're a watcher of my channel, a regular watcher of my channel, you'll know that we've had an Oregon Duck Duck's sneaker on here before, and here we are with hint number 1 leading up to this week's Sunday rare sneaker is Quack Quack again. And I'm just going to leave that there, and then tomorrow I'll come back with another hint and see if you guys can work out which sneaker it is that's coming down the line. For now though, it's time for me to sign off, and thank you guys for checking out my content. I appreciate it very much. Let me know in the comments down below if you're going after these shoes, because I just got a feeling on them. I really do. I just have a feeling on them, and you know, I usually just review the shoes and tell you my opinion and just talk about it, and just, you know, generally I don't get into the sales part of it. I just talk about the shoe and what I think of it. But with these guys, I just have a real feeling about them. I really, really do. So let me know in the comments down below what you think. If I get them in hand, I'll be letting you guys know for sure, all over my channel for like days and days on end. I'll just be drooling over these guys. But please do let me know in the comments down below if that's something you get your hands on, and if you know which rare sneakers come to the channel on Sunday. For now though, it's time for me to sign off. Thank you guys for checking out my content, but because I do this every single day, that means that you are guaranteed to see me tomorrow.